Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Ava, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the full-time work study program that we have here at the Ningma Institute. So I'm going to start just by, I guess, introducing myself a little bit, and I'll talk about why I was interested in the program in the first place. And then I have some slides to share with you guys as well. It's mostly just pictures, so you guys could get like sort of like a little bit of a window into what being a volunteer is like. But yeah, we'll start there. So, like I said, oops, sorry, my name is Ava. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I moved to the Bay Area 3 months ago for the work study program. And I was really, I've been interested in meditation in particular, Buddhism a little bit as well, but especially meditation for a few years. And I've just always really had trouble kind of keeping a formal, consistent practice. So I was interested in this opportunity because I was hoping to kind of establish more structure and have more kind of formality around my meditation practice. Um, I thought it would be nice to live in a community of people who also have that same goal. And I thought, yeah, I graduated college a few years ago, and I feel like I'm sort of in like a transition moment in my life. And I think having an opportunity like this to really like look inward and reflect can be really helpful in those moments of change and like trying to figure out what comes next and like how to go about it. So yeah, I think the kinds of like tools and skills that mindfulness and meditation promote, I think are just really um, generally good to have. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Once I'm done with the like kind of my spiel, I would love to hear from you guys about your experience with the Nyingma Institute or your interest in the program. But yeah, for now, I'm gonna share my screen and I'll show you guys some stuff. Okay, let me share. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to start by talking briefly about the Nyingma Institute in general. I think it could be just like a little bit of helpful context. I'm not sure if everyone has a lot of familiarity with the organization. I'm not probably not the most qualified person to speak to the scope of all of the projects and stuff that happens here, so it's just going to be brief. But so this is our founder here on the left, Tartong Tolku. And for those of you who are interested in the Tibetan Buddhism aspect, Tartong Tolku was one of the final Tibetan lamas who was sort of formally trained and educated in Tibet prior to the Chinese occupation. So there's like a really rich, the sort of like spiritual tradition and that part of the background is really rich at the Nyingma Institute. And then the mission is to share the healing wisdom of the Nyingma tradition and reveal a path of inner freedom. So that was sort of at the founding of the institute, a big part of the reasoning. And then kind of an extension of that is the vision, which is about preservation of Tibetan heritage. So the Nyingma Institute and the other organizations that Tartong Tulku founded, the other sister organizations, are about preserving the like Tibetan wisdom tradition of Buddhism. And also, as a part of that, you can see this over here, this image on the right is a Tibetan prayer flag. And I'm going to try and show a video a little bit later so you guys will get to see a little bit more about the Sacred Art Project. But yeah, this is a big part of the history of the Nyingma Institute is the sort of work to preserve Tibetan sacred art and the wisdom tradition. And so I mean, the Nyingma Institute as like an institution, as a building, I feel like is part of that kind of living tradition. But like I said, we'll return to the sacred art thing. Okay, so a little bit more, I guess, about the Nyingma Institute history. It has always been a volunteer-run organization. In more recent years, it's now like a nonprofit organization. But since its history, Since its founding in 1972, it's always been run by volunteers, and I'm going to use the terms staff and volunteer interchangeably. So if you're, yeah, all of these people are both volunteers and staff members, but you can see, yeah, the old kitchen. I mean, it looks pretty much the same. These guys working on the flagpole, and then I think this is a garden ceremony from a previous year. So volunteers have always played a really big role in the Nyingma Institute's kind of upkeep and ability to function and stuff. And then this is the Institute today. So this is the garden in its current iteration. So for those of you who are online and can't come in person, this is what our garden and plaza looks like. And the construction of the prayer wheel, which you see here, and the plaza was done entirely by volunteers. So that's what this picture in the middle is. It's actually a previous volunteer who had worked on those projects. And then this picture up in the right corner is our bookstore. So we've got a lot of books, both written by the founder, Tarton Tolku, and other classical Buddhist texts if anyone is interested in and learning more about that as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the like practical aspects of the volunteer program, just like what you would need to know if you were interested in participating. And then I'll get into a little bit more like the experience, what my experience has been like, what our community looks like today, etc. But yeah, on the kind of like practical end, for an overview of the program, I think the what I wanted to talk about first is really the philosophy or ethos behind the program, which is about the integration of work and practice. So the idea of skillful means, um, put perhaps not very eloquently, is the idea that finding, enthusiasm and joy in work is like kind of, I think in the West in particular, really radical. We often in the West view work as, like a burden or an obligation. And so this was an aspect of the program that was really interesting to me. I've always known that I wanted to do like social impact work, and I think it can be hard sometimes to forget why you're doing what you're doing and hard to find joy and meaning in your work when it becomes so about productivity and output. So I really like the framing of the volunteer program is about, the kind of work becoming a part of your practice or, finding meaning in work. Something else I wanted to mention is that there is no Buddhist background required to participate in the program. So coming in with an open mind and, wanting to work on your personal growth and stuff, I think are sort of the more, I guess, requisites of the program, but you don't need to have any kind of formal experience with Tibetan Buddhism or Buddhism in general. I had almost no knowledge of Tibetan Buddhism when I came in. So I think you can really benefit if you're interested in a more secular mindfulness. There's still a lot at the Institute for you as well. One other thing to note, or a few other things to note, we have a recommended 6-month minimum for a commitment. And I do think this is like, after having been here for a few months, I feel like I really understand why. I think the first couple months, there's a lot of settling in that happens in terms of getting used to your new job. It's like it's, an immersive experience. So I think adjusting to all of these different things at one time. It takes time. And so I think in terms of the kind of continuity of the organization and its being able to continue functioning, it's nice to have volunteers around for longer. But I also think as a participant in the program, it's really, you benefit a lot from being here for that amount of time. I feel like the first couple months, like I said, I felt like I was doing a lot of settling in. And now that I'm kind of in the middle of my time here, I think I've really noticed I have more like space and capacity to really engage with the practice aspect and the classes. So yeah, it may sound like a long time, but I think it is really meaningful to have kind of that experience. Um, as a part of the sort of, like Buddhist commitment to non-harm, we are a fully vegetarian environment, so all of the meals are vegetarian. I have some pictures later, so yeah, you can get kind of an idea what that actually looks like, but the food is really good. Room and board is included, so I also have a few pictures of what my room looks like later. But yeah, the facilities are really nice, and the staff facility is in the new house, so it's got a lot. It's been like recently done, and then there's a $300 stipend per month, so just kind of like cover living expenses. And then yeah, like I said, I think probably one of the most meaningful parts of this experience for me is the opportunity to participate in the classes and the workshops and the other programming that the Institute offers. So since it is a work study program, you have the work aspect, which I will talk a little bit more about on the next slide. But the study is really central as well. So we have classes in meditation and Kumne, Tibetan yoga. If you're interested in meditation and yoga. We also have Tibetan language for people who are interested in engaging with and kind of a deeper understanding of the texts. And then there are Buddhist studies classes if you want to read sort of classical Buddhist texts. So there's a whole range of classes, and I have taken a little bit of in all these different areas, and I feel like they really complement each other and have really provided me a lot of interesting perspective on my meditation practice. Okay, so to talk a little bit more about work practice, so like I said, the Nyingma Institute is a fully volunteer staffed nonprofit. So there's all of the jobs that are associated with the running of a nonprofit, an educational center, are all done by volunteers. So there's both administrative and physical tasks that are involved in that. And I'm actually going to pause for 1 second and see if I can make the slides bigger in the room. Just one, just one moment. Sorry, I didn't really.
Yeah, much.
Sorry about that. Thank you for your patience. Um, yeah, so as I was saying, there are both physical and administrative tasks that are involved with the running of the institute. So the physical tasks are gardening, cleaning, construction, cooking, and then there are a lot of administrative tasks since we have all of the classes. So we've got registration, bookkeeping, fundraising, marketing, etc. So yeah, I really enjoy that there's like a lot of diversity in the stuff I get to do in a day. And there's definitely been opportunities for me to learn, new skills and develop stuff in new areas. A lot of what I do for the Institute currently is social media and promotion, which is not really, I don't have like a lot of formal training. So I think it's been nice to like be able to develop those skills and I think have, support and the opportunity to learn new things. So that's been really nice. And the workday is generally pretty standard, kind of 9 to 5 p.m. workday, and we do have an hour lunch break in the middle of the day, which I'll talk a little bit more about lunch in a minute. And then one other thing to note is that the work week is 6 days a week. So most of the staff work Monday through Saturday. My day off is actually I work on Sundays instead of Saturdays since we have some Sunday programming. But generally speaking, the schedule for staff is 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the screen share really quick. And like I said, a big part of what I've been doing for the Nyingma Institute is social media and stuff. So I actually, one of the things that I worked on for the social media, I have like a day in my life video. So I'm gonna try and screen share that for you guys and see if you can, um, yeah, just to give you a little bit more of a of that window into the daily life at the Institute. So yeah, just one moment. Okay. Oh,
Yeah. My day starts pretty early. I get up at 6:15 to go to the morning meditation class, which is optional, but I would highly recommend. And all of the classes are included in the work study program. At 8, I have breakfast. Star of the show is this homemade granola one of the volunteer makes. And then I had to show you guys the fridge because they really take care of us in terms of the food at the Institute. And then after breakfast, Boomy had to include a shot of Boomy the cat. After breakfast, the workday starts around 9. I do emails, send out the class recordings, and then I do some cleaning and maintenance tasks to keep the garden and outdoor space clean. More Boomy time, of course. And then it was one of the volunteers' birthdays today, so I went to get them a cake and get some groceries before lunch. We always eat lunch together. One of the volunteers today made homemade enchiladas. We had a little birthday celebration for them as well. And then this is Bodhi the dog, like light of my life. After lunch, I worked on sacred art with one of the volunteers. This is a project we have here, and this is the final product. This is a Tibetan prayer flag. At the end of the day, I just did a couple more tasks, and then I got ready for class, did some reading.
okay. Yeah. So that was one of the videos that I made for our social media. But yeah, I just thought it was, you can get a little bit more of an idea of the actual what that looks like in practice. I can talk about it and say, oh, we work 6 days a week and we do all this stuff. But that's an example of what one of my days looks like. And yeah, I hope you guys got to see towards the end, there was a little bit about sacred art. So that's a pretty cool project that we have here at the Institute, and I really enjoy participating in. Uh, okay, so I am gonna share my screen again and just show some pictures and talk a little bit more about some of the day-to-day stuff. So, one moment. Okay. All right. So like I said, we're gonna return to the food. These are as you saw in the video, perhaps the staff eat lunch together every day. So each day of the week, one of the staff members will make lunch for everyone. And we just have like really yummy, fresh vegetarian food every day, which has been really nice. So you can see a couple examples of meals. They usually all have like a protein, a starch, a green, and a salad. So there's like a lot of variation, but I feel like it's just really, generally really like nourishing and delicious vegetarian food. One of my favorite parts of being at the Institute probably is the view. I think honestly, the Berkeley Hills have like the best view of the Bay Area, of any part of the Bay Area, in my opinion. As I don't know if you guys can really see, but in these two pictures, I feel like you can see it a little better. The sun sets over the Golden Gate Bridge, which is always really wonderful. We just have a lot of really beautiful sunsets. And yeah, something else about the location. So, like I said, we're up in the Berkeley Hills, so I feel like you do really get the feeling that you're kind of in this like peaceful and serene environment. It doesn't feel super urban. But then if you walk like 15 minutes down the hill, you're in downtown Berkeley, and we have access to the BART, the train, and you can go to Oakland, San Francisco. So I think it's really nice to have both the kind of really sort of secluded, peaceful feel of the Institute, but then you have also access to all of the San Francisco and the rest of the Bay Area, which is really cool. Oh, and I guess you guys already saw the animals in the video, but yeah, to me this is an important aspect of life at the Institute. This is Bodhi. He's the dean's dog, so he's here oftentimes on weekdays, and then Boomy is here full time. He's our one-eyed cat, and he's if you're a cat person, he's a lovely cat. He's like super cuddly. He'll come sit in your lap. And then this is just another photo of Bodhi. I feel like it kind of looks like AI, but yeah. But it's a real picture. He's just kind of like looks like a teddy bear. So yeah. The one of the things that I wanted to really highlight or talk about because I think it's been a really rich part of my experience here is the community of staff members. So I think there are about 10 volunteers who are here right now, and there's really a whole range. I think I'm currently the youngest volunteer, so there's both like an age range, there's like kind of intergenerational volunteers, and then there's also really a range in how long people have been here and how they, relate to Buddhism or their spiritual practice or personal growth. So there are volunteers who have been here for like, I mean, double digit years, like 15, 18, 20 years. So I feel like it's really wonderful, to be in an environment with people who are really committed and really have a lot of experience and wisdom. And then there's also, people who are, I'm actually not the newest volunteer anymore. We just recently have a new volunteer who came in. So yeah, it's nice because you have people who have been here for a few weeks, a few months, a few years, and then there are people who have been part of the community for like 15, 18 years. So these are just a couple examples of stuff that we do together. Like I said, birthdays, or perhaps you saw in the video, birthdays are a big deal. We always do birthdays. This picture here, we had like a going away party and a dinner out on the deck, which is another really nice part of the grounds. Over here on the left, this is actually we did like a full moon ceremony. There was this lunar eclipse at like 3:30 a.m. And this is optional, so like you don't you don't have to get up at 3:30 a.m. and haul out to the plaza. But we did like a kind of a full moon chant out at in this kind of like candlelit circle on the plaza. We do have also opportunities as staff for more regular practice together. So 3 days a week, the staff participate in a meditation that's led by our monastic resident, Khenpo Khalsang, and that's built into the workday. So it's a really nice opportunity for us to practice together. And Khenpo has, is a monk, so he's got a lot of like breadth and depth of experience with Buddhist study and practice. So that's really wonderful. Like I said, the 3:30 a.m. practice is optional. We have more like kind of like user-friendly practice options as well. And then over here on the right, this is we had like a play this super elaborate board game all as a staff a few weeks ago. Again, optional, but highly recommend. And I guess just I wanted to include these photos to show that, yeah, I do feel like there is both, I think, a lot of, like respect for like privacy and the sort of like introspective or self-reflective aspect of being here, but I don't feel like alone or lonely. There is like a real sense of community among the staff, and it's just really nice to be among the other staff members. Okay, yeah, another practical point I wanted to talk about is the housing. So this is my room. This was my room on the day I moved in. So as you can see, the rooms come fully furnished. You have your bed, closet, storage, desk, etc. And then in this photo on the right, you can see that my room has a view of the bay, a really beautiful view of the bay. So all the rooms either have a bay view or a garden view, and you really can't go wrong. The garden is also, as you may have seen in previous pictures, very beautiful and really nice. So yeah, the rooms are private. Everyone's got their own. We do share bathrooms and showers, but like I said, we're a pretty small staff and we're divided among 2 floors with multiple bathrooms on each. So there's no shortage of bathrooms, and they're like the facility is very well maintained. So yeah, that's a little bit about the housing, and I think now all I have left that I want to talk about is just what I've gained from this experience and my kind of reflections on it. So I'm gonna stop share and just talk a little bit about it. And then I thought we could move into if anyone has any questions, we can move into that part. So, yeah, I think in reflecting on what I came here for and thinking about my goals from when I arrived, I do feel like I've definitely felt a real, particularly like I said in this most recent month, that my like practice, my meditation practice feels like it's really shifted and deepened in certain ways. But I think the thing that's like most surprised me, or the change that I didn't expect as much, is how much that would kind of bleed over into everyday life, and how, yeah, I do think living here and having the opportunity to live among the community and the sort of like work practice philosophy makes it easy to kind of start applying the principles or like the sort of spirit of meditation or mindfulness to daily life. So I think it's really shifted how I feel like work and how I relate to, I guess on a personal level, I think how I relate to myself and other people. I feel like there's more like spaciousness and presence. Um, and I think as well in sort of the like professional sphere, I feel like work is something that I have always felt very like sort of had like a kind of an intense or like forcing feel to it. And I think it's been nice to try and sort of reframe work for myself as something that's a little more um, a little looser and a little more playful. So, yeah, I think I am here for a few more months and I'm excited to see how my practice kind of continues to develop. But I feel like so far, I feel like I've already just in a few months really noticed kind of things starting to change. So yeah, I guess all that to say I very highly recommend the program. I think meditation and mindfulness is something that it takes, even though I do feel like I notice a difference, it takes a really long time, I think, to for things to start moving around. And I feel like full immersion, which is really what this program is kind of the like only way to sort of like fast forward, I guess, like it's to be able to kind of apply the mindfulness, you know, sense of mindfulness in your daily life, I think really has a much more, kind of immediate and profound effect. So, yeah, I think that is the end of the talking. I'd like to invite people both online and here in the audience to introduce themselves and say what their connection is to the Nyingma Institute, if they, or Buddhism, or if they're interested in the program, etc. Yeah, and then we could do the Q&A. But I think it'd be helpful for me to know what your background is as well. So I guess we can start on Zoom. Michael, do you wanna start us off?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
So my name's Michael Russo. Let's see what to say. I taught philosophy for many years and now writing a book and studied, philosophy, ancient Greek philosophy, and a lot of Buddhist philosophy. And I saw your video online of your day in the life and became quite interested. And yeah, I'm curious about how I might be able to balance, my own like work and writing with my involvement at the institute there. And I mean, it looks kind of great, actually. So that's why I tuned in.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. Well, I will definitely return to your consideration. And I mean, if Emily or Herion want to jump in as well. Emily and Herion who are on the call are also staff members. But yeah, thank you for introducing yourself, and will
Thank you.
definitely come back. What about you, Linda?
Okay. So I've been involved with the Institute initially in person before the pandemic and then online since then. And my biggest concern is being able to access the Institute because I have limited mobility.
Mm.
And there are some real challenges physically, which is why I have not been back. I've had a lot of health issues since during the pandemic and after, but I would love to come for a weekend. I love their food. The lunches are amazing. I think the chef at Chez Panisse was one of the cooks or one of the chefs there training people on how to make these amazing meals. But the challenge for me is it's not very ADA accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I mean, it's an old building and in the hills. I could see why that would be a challenge, but I'm glad that you can join us on Zoom. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna switch the camera over so the Zoom people can see the in-person people in the audience here. I'll be right back. Ah.
Is it on? Is it on? Hello, can people hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Hi, my name's Sue Ellen Anabuski, and I'm a longtime student here at the Institute, and I just came because I was curious to hear Ava's experiences and have younger people in my life that I know that transition from college to the big world out there. Just to hear your experiences has been very interesting and wonderful to hear. And you've been a great addition to our group here. I'm also a part-time instructor on the faculty at the Institute. It's a wonderful place, and I wish more people knew about it. But now you're doing a lot of the social media stuff, so I'm sure you get some good ideas.
Hello, my name is Luke. This is my second attendance here. I came like a few weeks ago. I'm just interested in all things Buddhism, and I was looking for a local Buddhist meditation center and just want to kind of get involved in any way I think possible. I think the full commitment to the program might be too much for me right now with the job I have. But I'm interested in like volunteering maybe in the mornings throughout the week if it's possible to not have like super heavy commitment. But yeah, I just want to stay connected to Buddhism because I found it when I was in college like 4 years ago, and it became a big part of my life. And then after I graduated, I didn't really have a center. So I've been looking for like, like a center that I can get back connected with.
Hi everyone. My name is Sandra, and yeah, I'm Ava's friend, and I'm just here. And yeah, no, I was just here to hear Ava's experience because I know like the way she's telling me she's always had a really good experience. So yeah, it's awesome to just hear how she's doing and how amazing this program is.
My name is Marianne, and I have had a couple of friends who've been residents, although not on the staff here. And I've done a lot of different spiritual practices and been part of different spiritual groups. But just the feeling of the place and the meditation and so on, I've just started coming to these Dharma talks just to see what opens up. So it was really lovely to hear you and hear about the life here. And so I didn't even check what it was about. I just come on Sunday nights as often as I can just to begin to get the feeling of what's here and see where else I can dip my toe in when I have the time.
Yeah, well, thank you. Oh, did you want to say something, Sue Ellen? Okay. Well, yeah, thank you all for that. So yeah, I wanted to, I guess, speak to some of the things you talked about. So I guess as for Luke and Marianne, what's your name? Okay. Yeah, if you're just your point specifically, I guess, Luke, there are part-time volunteering opportunities available as well. So I can give you the email of the volunteer coordinator at, well, it's Emily. Hi, Emily. If you were interested in doing some like part-time volunteering. Yeah, so we can definitely talk about that. And Marianne, if you were looking, yeah, for further ways to get involved, that would be an option. But there's a lot of different ways to get involved at the Institute. To plug some other upcoming stuff we have, we're gonna do an open house on May 3rd. So if anyone wants to come and just kind of learn more, there'll be some practice elements of the open house. It's totally free, and you can hear from the faculty about um, their work here and the institute's kind of history and what we offer now. And then we're also going to have in May some community garden meditations, which will also be free. And they're going to be, Sue Ellen, I think is going to be one of the instructors. So we'll have those in the garden as well for anyone who's looking for some other ways, kind of low commitment ways to learn more about the Institute and what we do here. And then, yeah, Michael, to return to your question about balancing work with the work study program. I don't know if I mean, like I said, Emily or Hedun, if you want to add, I think like I would say from my experience, at least, I think you really get out of the work study program what you put in. So I think it doesn't feel like unreasonable to me that you would have, like something else that you're interested in working on. I think making as full of a commitment, I guess, as you can is really the best way to, really engage or benefit maximally. But I totally think that you can have, like other stuff going on. And I wonder, I feel like, being here might even provide you more kind of space and different ways to think about things. It's like also a very peaceful, serene environment. So I think in terms of like having just calm, like some quiet to work on your book, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, it would be a really good place for that.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone has any questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered when you come here, who oversees, do you have somebody who actually kind of oversees both your spiritual questions and, how much are you tutored through the experience of being here?
So you mean, so the question was like how much kind of supervision or
Yeah,
tutoring
super-
have been
Yeah, it's just
kind of with the
somebody to lean in.
yeah, yes. Do you mean more in terms of the sort of like personal or spiritual aspect?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
experience of being at a Buddhist center,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's not terribly formal, like it's not like I have one person who I go to and talk to about my experience of being here. But I think the nice thing about living here and being in the community of staff is that there's kind of like constant opportunities to talk about it and learn from other people's experience. So I think living here and just even like eating lunch with the other volunteers and being in the office and well, just, existing in the same space provides a lot of opportunity to kind of process and deepen and all of that. And then I also think the faculty members have been a really great resource. So the faculty are all like really wonderful, super engaged, and I feel like I've had a lot of interesting conversations before, after class, or just when they're around about the teachings and their sort of perspective on them as well. So yeah, I think there's not like one person that I could point to and say like, oh my, but yeah, there's kind of like a wealth of
It's
people.
interesting. You've really captured a kind of the integrative experience of this whole thing. Because I do think you, as a new student or somebody who's curious about Buddhism, it's so nice to have that kind of support, but also a lot of space to kind of allow yourself to feel how it's coming into your own body and mind,
Yeah, yeah, totally.
It's really good. Any other questions?
You said there was a big age range.
Yes.
Who are the youngest of the people who come for work study?
I think, right, like I said, right now I think I'm the youngest. I'm 24, but I think, I don't know, like Emily, what's the youngest person you've ever had? I know that there's been like young other low 20s, but
The youngest person since I've been there was Ella. She came when she was 21.
okay. Yeah.
And then the range is like, so while she was there, it was like she was the youngest. And then, we have also people who are in their 60s. So that was like our oldest.
Yeah. Got a few generations represented. But yeah, I think something I spoke to a little bit when talking about my motivation. I think people who are in their like 20s and young, I think really anyone in moments of transition or change can really benefit from this experience. I feel like I mean, I think anyone in any moment of their life could benefit from this experience, but I feel like particularly moments that are kind of challenging and uncertain, and I feel like your early and mid 20s definitely in my experience have been a little challenging and uncertain. So, yeah, I think like difficult or, kind of fraught moments of life can be, I don't know, it's nice to kind of like soften and open into them in the way that being here allows you to do that. So, yeah, I can see why a lot of people in their like 20s are like, oh, like, what are we gonna do? And you know, this is a good option as far as I'm concerned. I'm biased, I guess, but yeah.
How did you find the center?
How did I find it? I found it on a website called Coolworks, which actually Sandra had sent to me when I was kind of like looking for a cool work situation. So yeah, they've got a lot of like contract and sort of unconventional job opportunities. Yeah.
Can I jump in with a question?
Yeah, of course, please.
Um, One comment I'll just make is you mentioned uncertainty in your early 20s. Get used to it. It doesn't end. Anyway, there was some ambiguity, I think, a little bit of calling it work study and saying the work day is 9 to 5. I mean, is part of that work day like meditation practice? And you mentioned like going to a class. Is that within the 9 to 5, or is that 9 to 5 is like the work and the study and meditation is before and after those hours?
There's a little bit of both. So we have the like staff meditation that I mentioned that's with the monk who lives at the center, is during the workday. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 9:30, we all practice or any staff who would like can come and practice during the workday with Kempo in the meditation room. There are, I think, one or two other classes that are during the workday that I get to go to. So there is, yeah, like classes that are during the workday. I think you can work something out and do them during the workday. But that being said, the majority of the classes are in the evening, since most of the people who come to the classes are the community members have, a lot of them have like jobs and kids and whatnot. So having everything during the standard workday isn't super practical. So yeah, like I said, there's a little bit of both, but most of the classes are in the evenings
Yeah.
after the day.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I'll ask a question that maybe, or I know the answer too, but I'm just gonna ask it as like something practical that maybe might be helpful for people if they're interested in work study. But um, how often does the Institute like accept volunteers, and like when can people apply?
Oh yeah, thank you for that. So applications are on a rolling basis. And so people I think can sort of apply. Well, the application is available on our website if you go to volunteer and work study. And I think it's sort of my understanding that it's kind of as needed. So the community is pretty small and it's like very all hands on deck, but there are, like transitions with people moving, people like me who are here for a kind of a shorter term. So there are, I guess I don't know how to, there's not like a super straightforward answer, but there's kind of like flux with the hiring or, onboarding process for volunteers. But as far as I can tell, we're always accepting applications. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And Emily, if there's anything else like of the practical stuff that I didn't mention, please, I'm happy to talk about anything I missed. But yeah.
I have one more small question, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
Um, in terms of the length of the commitment, like assuming it goes well on both sides, um, 6 months plus, I mean, is longer a common or easily arranged option?
Yeah, yeah, it's not I mean, again, my understanding is that there's 6 months is more of like a minimum than a max. It's not a maximum. So I think yeah, as long as there's like compatibility on both ends and it seems like everyone is it's going well. I mean, like I said, there are volunteers who have been here for like 15 years, so it's six heavy on the plus, but yeah, it's sort
Okay,
of that's a minimum, I guess.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to just say quickly is that if since there's some people here who maybe, you know, it doesn't make sense for you to join the work study program at this time. If you know anyone who is like interested or has like ever mentioned to you, maybe they just graduated from college or something, they're in a transitional period and they're like, yeah, I'm looking for something to do. I'm looking for like a gap year or something to kind of go more inward. I highly recommend, telling them about the program because I think someone mentioned I can't remember who, but there's a lot of people who just don't even know that something like this exists and don't know that it's an option. And I feel like this was something that me personally I was looking for, but like couldn't find it until I just kind of happened to stumble upon it one day and was like, oh, this is exactly the type of thing I've been wanting to do, but I just didn't know like places like this existed. So if you can, if you do know anyone or you think of anyone in your life who you think even just might be interested, I just recommend like just mentioning it to them, sending them to our website. 'Cause yeah, we would love to have more volunteers who are genuinely interested.
Okay. Well, I know we're a little bit early, but yeah, if nobody has any questions, any more questions, I feel like we can wrap it up. Thank you all so much for coming. And if you do have any questions that you don't want to ask in front of the group, I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes and talk about the program. So yeah, thank you all for coming. I hope you have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, thank you.
Actually, if you're still there, I had one more question that's just minor. Um, you mentioned like the accessibility to things outside of the institute.
Yeah.
Um, like without a car, is that realistic?
Yes. Yeah. I do not have a car.
Right.
So when I said 15 minutes, I meant 15 minutes walking.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, sorry, I should have specified. But yeah, I will say it's a little bit more. It's a little bit maybe more like 22 minutes coming back up the hill because we're in the hill, but getting down the hill is super easy. There's a BART station in downtown Berkeley, which has really good connectivity to the rest of the public transit.
Yeah.
And the bus system is good. So you don't even have to walk all the way. There's actually a bus which will take you into downtown Berkeley as well, if that's a concern.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. It was nice to meet you, and I hope
Yeah,
you bye.
I think I may. Yeah. Thank you for doing this and great.
Okay, awesome. Bye.